All right, so agent.kw.com. So compliance, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, just to rehash it really fast, right? The compliance aspect of command lives inside of the opportunities section of KW command, right? So that's where everything is going to be, is inside of that applet here. So when we first come into command, right, those are the two hands shaking right there. That's where we're going to be. Now, we talked about this yesterday, right? And I'm going to point it out a little bit more in today's class. In order to create an opportunity, your contact must be in the system first. So that's really the first step, okay? So yesterday we talked about this. I'll keep using that same opportunity today because it would make sense. So yesterday, Ann was my client, right? We did listing paperwork. So just so everyone knows, right? I've already created the opportunity. If you haven't yet, first step would be to come inside here, click add contact, and I would put in Ann Beck. All right. Second step is we're now going to go over into the opportunity section. This is where we're going to spend the rest of the time today. So yesterday, I created an opportunity for Ann Beck. And so I would be able to go into my pipeline and find that, and we will. But just so, you know, if you are here for the very first time, if you have not yet created that opportunity, top right corner up here, you would click Create Opportunity. Okay, so really 2 clicks here so far for compliance. Add a contact. Now we're going to create the opportunity. This might already be done. Now, when you create an opportunity, the important selections, there's 4 of them. First one is make sure it's your right market center. I talked about this yesterday again, but here's the deal. If you're in Loudoun, as an example, and you're licensed also in Reston, maybe, because that's where your Maryland, DC license is, you need to make sure you select the right market center because it goes to that office for payment, for brokerage, right, for all of that stuff. So for most of you, hopefully this will just be your market center, but if you're a part of 2, you need to pay attention to that. What kind of opportunity is this? So what kind of deal is it? Is it a listing, a buyer, a landlord, or a tenant? This is really important because the compliance checklist follows this selection, right? If it's a listing, if I select listing here, it's going to be asking me for the listing agreement, the deport disclosure, the tax record, right? If I select it to be a buyer opportunity, it's going to be asking me for the buyer agency agreement, right? And all the documents that might go on that side of a deal. Okay, so I'm going to select listing here. Who's the client? Okay, so I can come in here and this is where I would type in Ann, you know, and she's in my database. That's why that's step number 1. I'd be able to select her. And then the last thing I have to put in here as a requirement is my commission rate for this deal. This would be my side. This is just hopefully a guess. Hopefully that's what I make on the deal, but you are able to edit that down the line. And then I'm going to click create. Okay, so basically here, guys, we just need to create an opportunity if you haven't had it done yet. Any questions on that part? Several of you have been here for a lot of my classes here, so I know you've all got this down. All right, what I'm going to do is instead of creating a new one, I already have Ann's, and I know that she's in the listing section over here under Cultivate. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to find that opportunity. Here it is right here. Okay, so I can just click on it, and that'll open up Ann's opportunity that I created yesterday. Okay, which brings us to this details page. Now, guys, on the details page here, there's one thing that's really important, which is this property section right here. Okay, when you go to put your commission request in, it needs to be associated with an address if it's a listing, okay? And so to make sure that you can get your commission request turned in and make sure you don't get an error at that point, it'll say it needs a property address. This is where you put that property address in. So I would just click this little pencil button right here, okay? And I could go in and I could put in Ann's address, right? So I'll go ahead and just type it in here, Dale Road. I see Brooks on the call here, and I think a few of us where we're working on this. If the address doesn't exist, just type it out, right? And you are able to enter it so that you can move forward, and I'll show you another trick when we get to that point, all right? So if it's new construction, it may not be in the drop-down, but type out the address as best you can, and then I'm gonna click Save, and that'll hopefully, and it'll keep you from having an error down the line. Questions on that? All right, so now we're going to go over into the Documents tab. And as you look on the screen here, notice that we've got documents, offers, commissions, these three tabs right in the middle. These are the three tabs we're working in. So documents is going to be where we're uploading our things for compliance, putting in the terms of our offer. What's the sales price? What's the earnest money deposit amount? What's the name of the buyer? And then this is our green sheet, right? So these three here are going to make up this process that we're going through today. All right, so I'm going to click on documents. And when you come in here, yesterday, I selected my checklist over here. So it may ask you if this is a brand new opportunity to select a checklist. Here's mine over here. I just want to point this out. I selected that it was a listing, right? Now in Fairfax, if I'm licensed in DC or Maryland, if the listing is in one of those states, I need to change my compliance checklist, right? Because different documents are required to be turned in. So I'd click this drop down here and say, oh, let me go over to Maryland, and then it'll show you all the Maryland listing documents that are required. All right, so select your checklist first. If you're in Loudoun Gateway or in Richmond, you're only going to see Virginia. All right, and so you should just see one checklist on your account. Now here, when I select Virginia, I want to look at these three folders right now. So it says listed, under contract, and closed. So right now I'm on the listed folder, and I know that because of this blue line right here. And when I'm on the listed folder, it's showing me these are the documents required for my listing agency. So I want you to think of it this way, right? There's always two compliance events that are happening. When I go get my listing paperwork filled out by Ann, then we get everything done, I need to turn that into the market center so they can check my listing agreement and all my agency documents. If you're working with a buyer, it would be the same thing, right? You're going to turn in all your buyer agency agreements. And what we're going to do is we're going to submit this folder and seek approval, right? Once I list Ann's house and we get a ratified contract, I would then click on this under contract folder. And this is where I'm uploading the purchase agreement, the residential property disclosure, right? Financing addendum. So just realize there's two compliance events, right? Agency and purchase contract. And that's what these two folders are over here. Agency, purchase contract. The last folder here says closed. And this is where your market center leadership team will go in and upload the closing disclosure like they normally do in dotloop, right? When the deal closes and they get in, all that information, they will upload that CD or that HUD statement into here. So you'd be able to access it, right? So if you ever came back to this opportunity and wanted to see that closing disclosure, you'd be able to see it in this closed folder right below here. Okay, so you as agents don't need to go put anything in this folder. All right, so agents are going to work on agency under contract. Any questions on that? Now also realize you might have documents that you want to store that are not in these checklists. Okay, so someone give you an example of something you might want to keep, but is not necessarily required to be turned into the market center.
Well, not necessarily under listing paperwork, but under the contract, a copy of the home inspection.
Thank you, man. Perfect. So exactly that, right? Maybe the home inspection, maybe an inspection of any sort that doesn't need to be turned into the market center. Okay.
Or a notice.
Yep.
A contract notice.
HOA docs sometimes, right? Depending on the situation. Right. So if don't put it in here, right? Because the only things that should be put into these two folders are things that the market center needs to check. Right below down here, you see it says add new custom folder. And this is like a free Dropbox account for you guys, all right? You can go in and add a custom folder and call it, miscellaneous docs. I think that's what I call mine. And I can come in here and I can add any documents I want. I can upload them into this folder. So I'm going to upload my inspection, my HOA docs, my pool inspection, blah, blah, blah. Because even 2 years from now, if Ann Beck calls me and says, hey, Kyle, you don't have that appraisal report from when we bought our house a couple of years ago, do you? I would be able to go and find this opportunity through her contact card, go to miscellaneous documents, download it, and send it to her. Okay, so this is a storage spot for everything non-compliance, if that's where you want to keep it. Everybody good?
Hey, Kyle, is that per transaction, or is that one folder that you have?
So per transaction. So we're under Ann Beck listing right now, Tim. So this is her opportunity. So this would be all the documents pertaining to Ann Beck's listing.
Okay.
Yep. And each client would have their own opportunity, right? When you're doing paperwork. So that it's just like a loop. Think of this almost as a loop, and this is where you can store everything. Just compliance and then non down below.
Yep.
All right.
So then, and we have that same ability under listed. If I wanted to upload my staging report, I would do that under custom folder.
Correct. Yeah, okay. Exactly. And so if you wanted to keep that as just a file as part, now you can also, so I created miscellaneous documents. You could create one folder that says miscellaneous, listing documents, and then, if you wanted to organize them, you can create separate folders as well.
So we need to keep that in mind when we're naming a folder if we want to differentiate between the overall transaction versus listed or contract docs.
Yeah, it's just
some contracts fall out.
Right. All right. So we're going to talk about that differently, though. Okay. So here's the deal, though. Okay. And this is a good point, though. You're only uploading here what's been ratified. Okay.
Right.
And but think about this. You also might have storage over in DocuSign where you're always going to have a connection point. So if you have an offer that you submitted that didn't go through, right, you have a copy of it in DocuSign that you will have forever and ever for compliance purposes. You can bring it over here and add it in if you want to, but you'll always also have that attached DocuSign room. Only when I ratify an agreement am I going to upload it here for a compliance check.
So, well, I don't want to convolute this, but say we're under contract. So we would only upload the under contract once all contingencies are removed?
No, so I will show you, Ann, that like what if we ratify, we go under contract, then the deal falls apart as home inspection. I'll show you how to reverse it, right? But you would upload here as soon as you ratify. You don't need to wait on contingencies and those types of things.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we would start though with listed paperwork. So where we left off in the class yesterday was we have a signed agreement. Right, we have signed listing agreement by Ann and by Bob, and it's sitting over in my DocuSign room right now. Okay. So I come to the listed folder here. It says listing agreement, tax record is required, residential property disclosure is conditionally required, useful information is required, right? So these are not the documents. This is your compliance checklist. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to say, okay, I need to upload the listing agreement, and I can do that by selecting this add file right here. When I select add file, notice that the two options I have are you going to bring in your listing agreement from your computer, right, manual, or is it coming from DocuSign? Okay, that's this graphic right here. That makes sense? This is where we started. So it's asking you, are you going to bring it in from your computer? Did you download it from one of these other places and it's stored on your computer to be brought in? Or is it over in your KW DocuSign account? So I know that I can click on this DocuSign account. It's going to bring in, it's going to show me all of the forms that are over in my DocuSign room. All right, so I'm not having to download anything from DocuSign. Here they all are. Now, I didn't send this out, but we talked about this yesterday. If this was signed, it would say exclusive right to sell signed, right? And I showed you how we could add them to different folders so you could organize things properly for this part here. So I would say this is my listing agreement. You could select it, hit assign, and you'll see it brings it in and it attaches it to the line item listing agreement. All right, now it's attached. All right, now tax record. Where do most of you go get your tax record from?
MLS.
Like Bright MLS, whatever it's going to be, right? So you're going to download that on your computer. So here, tax record, add a file. It's not in DocuSign, right? I can go grab it from my computer. So I can click on that and I can go in and say, yep, it's this one right here. Right, and I can bring that in and assign it from my computer and click assign. All right, now that's attached. Does that make sense, everybody? So here's the deal. You can do it one by one, or up top here, there's an attached multiple files selection here. A lot of people really like using this. So instead of doing them one by one, if I know all of my documents are in DocuSign, I come in and say, okay, yep, here's my residential property disclosure. This one right here. My useful information is this one right here, right? Attach, and you can do them all at one time. Okay, so add file one by one or attach multiple files just is a little bit easier to do. Now, if you have a downloaded file and it's 34 pages long and it's got all of these documents in it, it does not need to be split out like this. Okay, so if you use zip forms and you download your completed listing agency documents and you have all these things in one big file, you can upload that big file right here to listing agreement and hit submit, just like we're going to in just a second. I want you to realize, however, if anything is wrong with that one big file, we have to return the entire file, right? If you turn it in like this, line item by line item, which actually is very easy to do, then it comes back and it says approved, 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 returned. And you know this is the one thing you need to go fix, and it's much easier to do rather than uploading the whole file again. All right, so you can upload the whole file. And if something gets returned to you, then just understand what that means. Any questions on uploading documents into the compliance checklist? Okay, then what I would do is I'm going to hit the Submit to Market Center button right here, right? And when I hit Submit to Market Center, you will notice that then over here next to the listed folder, it then says Submitted, which means you've turned it in and now it's on the Market Center to go review that paperwork and give you a response. Okay, so Submit. Now I'm going to hop over into Command MC, which is our Market Center leadership side. And I'm going to go find this deal so I can show you what it looks like when things are rejected or approved and how you are alerted of that. Okay. So it's this one right here that I just turned in, right? So you don't need to worry about this part of it. This is what the broker sees. This is not what you will see. So I, as the broker, will be able to review all of this paperwork. Okay. And let's say, everything looked good here. So I approved your listing agreement. And we went to the tax record and that looked good. So I approved your tax record. And then your residential property disclosure looked good. So I approved that. And then your sum one agreement, that wasn't signed. I can reject this document. And one of the things I like about this is I have to tell you why. So missing initials on page 3. Okay. And I can hit reject document. And this is what it looks like, right? So it says approved, 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 rejected with a little bubble next to it telling me the reason which it was rejected. Okay, so that's what the broker would do. And then the broker would return it back to you. All right? So now you as the agent, couple things. You would have just received an email, okay, telling you that you had a compliance event that was just returned to you. So there's now an email trigger that you will get telling you about compliance. You will get a Kelly notification just popped up telling me that my compliance was returned. So the mobile app will also give you a notice. And in your command system here, if I click on this little bell up top, your notification bell, there's also a notification right here. So it's saying my AMBEC listing compliance has been returned. I can click on it right there, and it'll take me right back into the opportunity, into the checklist to see what I, as the agent, need to fix so that I can get approval. Okay, so this is what it looks like to you. It says returned. These are all good to go. I know that this is what I need to fix. So you guys would go make that fix in DocuSign or wherever you need to get that initial. You would come back here. You are not going to delete this document. You cannot do that anymore. You're simply going to replace it. And you would replace it with the new document, right, that you just had that is now complete. Hit replace. You will see it turns to blue, right? And then you would resubmit that back to the Market Center for them to take a look and then fully approve that file. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like, a fully approved file. Questions on this while I do that? You guys getting bored with this class, some of you by now? Okay, I saw some yawning. All right, so the broker would come in. Broker would then say approved, right? That's what it would look like. I'll approve this file here real fast. Approve there. All right, I'll jump back over as an agent. Same thing. I'm going to look up here in my notifications. It's telling me now, great, my AMBEC listing has been approved, my agency paperwork. So perfect. Let's go there and take a look at what it looks like.
And Kyle, I do have a question when you're done with this part.
Yeah, go ahead while it's loading.
So if we have to say we're doing a credit for a buyer to pay for a home warranty and we need the broker signature on that for the letter, how do we do that now?
If you need a broker credit letter?
Yeah, or like a listing amendment. How do we trigger the broker to sign it? Is
so
it
when it's over in DocuSign and you're in the envelope, right?
Yeah, and then I bring it over here, right?
Yeah, but it would have to be signed, needs to be signed in DocuSign. We can't sign anything as brokers in command.
Okay, so
think about this, right? Let's say you have your listing addendum, you put it into an envelope, right? And then you say we're going to add recipients, and you can add in the broker, and we have that. Everyone has their compliance email address, right?
We do. Maybe I don't.
Yeah. What market center are you in, Brooke?
Loudon Gateway.
All right, so it's loudongcompliance@vaalliancegroup.com. That's the email address you'll use for all of your compliance if someone needs to sign in terms of a broker.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Down. Thanks.
I won't get too far off of that because we're going to start digging into DocuSign there. I'll help you with that if you need it, though. So, guys, just really quickly, though, this is what you're looking for. Listed paperwork has been approved. Okay, that's the goal. With that green check mark right there. Now, I list Ann's house. We have 470 showings, 37 offers, and now we have a ratified contract, right? So now what I'm going to do is after we ratify that deal, I'm now going to click on under contract, and I'm going to upload the purchase agreement, the signed residential property disclosure, the financing addendum, right? We're just going to repeat the same process with all the contract paperwork. Right, so I'll pull in a couple files here from my computer just to show you what that would look like. Let's pick that one. Go ahead and assign it there. I've already used that one.
And on this, since a lot of times the ratified copy is a PDF, we can just upload that one document under that first line.
Correct.
And submit, right?
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Okay.
Right. So like Ann said, if you guys get a PDF copy of a ratified agreement, it's everything in one big PDF. You don't need to break it down, right? I'll kind of leave it to make it look like that, just to make it clear. It could look like this, right? So that one big PDF is attached to the purchase agreement line. It includes all of these documents, right? So now you come up and click Submit to Market Center. All right, so you have either way to do it. Remember in the DocuSign class, I showed you if you uploaded a PDF, how you can right-click on it and use the split tool, right? So if you wanted to break it down into separate little documents, that's a great way to do it, is using that split tool that I showed you in the DocuSign class. All right, so let me submit this. So I attached in my contract paperwork. I submit to the Market Center. And for the last time, I'm going to jump over into Command MC and approve this file so you can see what the ultimate goal is when it comes to compliance. Okay. All right. All right, on the left-hand side there, we can now see our agency folder has been approved and our under contract folder has been approved. That's what you need it to look like in order to get paid. All right, if it's returned, if it's any other status than that, the MCA will not pay you. All right, so it's your job to make sure that we work together here to make sure we get into that status, whatever's being required, or you guys in a timely fashion, making sure you're turning everything in so we can get that approved status right away and we're not waiting for it at the last second.
Can I ask a compliance question?
Please.
Okay. So at this point, we're under contract. I'm not sure if this is clear, but as contingencies are removed and I have those documents in DocuSign, there's no requirement for me to move any of that over here.
Right. You don't have to. Yep.
Okay, great. Yep. Perfect. That's nice.
All right. Now, that's where we're at, right? We're approved and approved. Okay.
Wait a minute, Cal. Can I ask a quick question along those same lines? So if you already have in DocuSign the initial the listing agreement, then and all those documents, you're saying we don't have to move that over. So, but when it goes under contract or agreement, rental, because it's a rental. Then I put it over here. I bring everything on this side. Is that what I need to do?
Yeah. So on the tenant side, there's not two folders. There's one, like for all your compliance paperwork. So exactly that is. So you can upload it that way on the tenant side. If it's a listener, a buyer, right? Two separate compliance events: agency and then contract.
Yeah, but for the agents, all the agency paperwork is in .loop. That's what I'm saying. Do I need to go get all that and bring it over now?
Has it already been approved over there?
Yes,
in .loop?
yes.
No, you don't need to bring it over. If it's already been approved by compliance there, you don't need to redo it here. Okay, yes, sir?
Freezing. Well, you're freezing on me, but say it again.
Okay. I said, if you've already gotten approval over in .loop on compliance, you don't need to recreate it here.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Keep that there, and that's when I get there, the agreement, I put everything here in command.
Yeah,
okay,
gotcha. You can do it that way.
Okay.
All right, so we're approved. Now, what we're going to do is let's finish out. Let's take the normal situation of a normal deal. The last step is, right, we need to go fill out our commission request so that we make sure that this deal is kind of wrapped up in terms of with the market center. The green sheet asks you a couple of questions, right? What's the sales price? What's the earnest money deposit? What's the buyer's name, right? Those are questions that we all have answered on the green sheet. So the questions are asked in the offer phase. They just break it up into 2 steps, right? So answer your questions, then you fill out the commission request, right? So what we're going to do here is notice the commissions, the word here is grayed out, all right? The reason being is the precursor to that is we have to have an accepted offer for that to open up. And you'll know what I mean in a second, but just notice if it's grayed out, okay, it means because you haven't completed the offer section. So I will click on offers. It opens up like this, a very blank screen, and it says add new offer. So I'm going to click that. I can call it whatever I want. I typically call it the ratified offer. When you click on add a new offer, you'll just name it. And this is where I'm going to answer those questions, basically. 3 steps. What's your offer date? What's your close date? So you can adjust those dates if you need to. I don't need to fill anything in here. I can click parties. Okay, so step number 2 is asking me for the only 2 things that are required here is what's the buyer's name, what's the agent's name that's working with the buyer. My name and my seller's name automatically appears here. So I'll say the name of the buyer is going to be Esther Smalls, right? And then the associate representing her is Sandy Schender, right? That's what I need to fill in. Those are the 2 requirements. Okay, click next. This is the last one. We basically are just filling out the top 2. So what's the sales price and the earnest money deposit? That's what we're trying to enter here. So cash is basically down payment. Think of it that way. Maybe there's a $20,000 down payment, and they are getting $350,000 loan. Okay, ultimately, what you're trying to achieve here is your sales price. So think about the way your contract's broken down in those 2 places. And then finally, what's the earnest money amount? So 1%, maybe I can put that in. This does work both ways here. So if someone puts down a flat $5,000 EMD, it'll calculate the percentage for you. So it works both ways. Okay, that's the details you have to put in for the offer. That's it. And so at the bottom here, I'll click agent analysis, save. And so that's what it looks like when I create an offer. This little box right here is just showing me those details that I just inserted into that section. All right, so I got a couple questions here, I see. When we have a deal where we are a dual agent representing both buyer and seller in .loop, we did 2 loops, assume it's the same here. Yep, 2 opportunities, because you have like listing agency paperwork and buyer agency paperwork that had to be done. Then they happen to just come together to buy the same house. And can you please post the email address for Loudon Gateway? Yep, so it's going to be loudoncompliance@vaalliancegroup.com. And if you're in our group, the Alliance group, your compliance email address, just sub out the name Loudon for Reston, Fairfax, Leesburg, right? Just that same address over and over again. All right, so back to here. I'm trying to get to my commissions tab. Any questions on adding an offer? Okay, so I'm going to click accept on this offer. You'll see there's a green button right there. That's my next click, accept. As soon as I click accept, notice the commissions tab is now opened up. I can now click on the commissions tab, and it's showing me the details of the transaction here. So It brought in the sales price, the commission rate when I created the opportunity, my total commission based on that calculation. The ultimate goal here is obviously I want to submit this commission request. In order to submit, you need to clear out any errors. Okay, so this is always going to be one because it never asked for the contract date yet. So missing information contract date, it's right here. You can see the little symbol right there, the little error symbol. So all I have to do is go ahead and just click edit general information, and I'll put in the contract date, right? So January 11th. Save changes, and that eliminates that error. Again, the other common error there, guys, is the address. And people get stuck here. Remember, that's why we put the address in when we started the class in the details section. That avoids that common error that a lot of people see.
And the contract date you want is the date ratified.
Yeah, that's the way I explain it to everybody, right? Contract date would be ratification date because there was a date offered section that we already put in.
Right.
So
okay.
Just in terms of, we basically have 3 dates. Date offered, which is to me, date of offer, right? Contract date, which is ratification date, and then close date. Yep, thanks, Marty. Okay, so if I need to adjust, guys, like my commission, right? If I had to cut my commission and I put in 3 because that's what I hoped Ann would pay me, and Ann said, you know what, Kyle, you're such a good agent that I'm going to pay you 3.5% for listing my property. I could adjust that, right? And it'll do the calculation and it'll recalculate my commission. So obviously it works both ways, hopefully working up rather than down, right? Save changes. Now, in addition, there's 2 common things here that usually come up when we're doing this commission request that I find. One is Margie in my office, she held my house open, right? And so I told her for doing that and helping with open houses, I'd pay her 10% of the transaction. So how can I add in an agent from my market center who I might have collaborated with? This also might be the same for a team, right? I need to add in a team member because they're getting paid out on this deal. So right here where it says payment, notice it's just me. To the right of that though, we have 2 options. Add another agent, which is this situation we're talking about right now. So add another agent. If I type in here, this will find any agent in my office. So I can start to type, it'll find Margaret. I can select her and then I can fill in how much I'm paying her of that transaction, right? No, Margie, you're not getting all of it. I see you flashing up there. So I can fill in that information and I could save changes and I would add Margie right into this commission request. Also, let's say it's an outside referral. Okay, so Tanya in Loudoun County referred me somebody in Fairfax County. And so I'm going to pay her out. So this is where you're going to use the add co-broker payment, right? And you can open this up and this is where you can put in the information about how much money is going to Tanya, her name, the company name, address, all that information for the referral, right? Hit save changes. So 2 common things that pop up there. And you can add multiple agents to this green sheet, right? You can, there's no limit. If I need to add 5 people to this, I can do that for whatever crazy reason that might happen. But sometimes that's the way payouts work.
Hey,
2 last things. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
A dumb question maybe. So the co-broker, that's only for Keller Williams people, right?
No, this could be anywhere. This could be an outside referral. Century 21 agent sends me a deal. I can put in their information here to be sent a check.
Okay, so it's replacing that part of the green sheet. Okay.
Yes, correct.
And then if it's another KW agent, do we just do add agent and it'll pick everybody?
No, so this is your market center. Every other agent, doesn't matter, firm that's not inside your brokerage.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're all independently owned and operated. So this is basically just paying out someone inside your company, paying someone outside your company. So we all are separate.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Let's see a chat here. You're getting yes, you just all right. So you're getting a note about excess agent commission and Brooke. Sounds like you probably figure this out. If you change this commission, so if I change this to be 12,500 and I'm only getting paid 11,100, there's an excess, right? You need to make sure it balances. So if you adjust your commission, you got to make sure the payout reflects the adjustment. Okay. Here's the other common one, which is maybe you charge an admin fee of some sort or whatever it's going to be. You get a bonus of some sort. How can you add in additional funds for whatever reason that might be coming in with the commission check? So here it says Kyle, and if I click edit agent payment information, a few things. This is where you can go in and add in your donations for KW Cares and some of the other things that we had on our green sheet. A lot of us support those. So if you still want to add those in, they can be done here as deductions. At the bottom, you see where it says extra payment options, referrals, bonuses. This is where you can add in that. So I can come in and say bonus. There's a bonus of $500 on this transaction. And so I'm going to add that in. All right, so that's how you add monies that might be on top of the flat rate commission so that the check matches when it comes into us.
Kyle, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
This is Tanya.
Yeah.
If I'm putting in, the cap and stuff, if I'm putting in one right now, I'm capped, but it's not closing till March and my cap resets.
Yep.
Do I care about that?
No, it's going to be imported just like the green sheet into Winmore, right? So it's not going to affect that at all. Whenever the check comes in, you're paid out. Our internal system will calculate when cap starts, when cap stops. This does, though, give you a view, and I've heard it's a little bit inaccurate. I'm trying to track down exactly. So some people told me that, but this is showing people like where you are, in your cap right now, how much you have paid in. But no, don't take it as final, Tanya. The MCA will still do the normal procedure to process the check itself. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thanks, it did.
Perfect. All right, and then up top here, the goal would be to click submit. Note there's also a section here that says add note. So just like at the bottom of the green sheet, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Nicole, need to make sure you understand that, someone needs to be paid out here, whatever it's going to be. And then you can click submit, right? And then the MCA will either approve it or reject it. And if you've done that, right? So if you have an approved commission, and you come back to your documents and you have approved, and the check comes in, you get paid.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes.
I did notice I meant to put a note about right before I submitted and I forgot. And now when I go to try to click the note, because we changed the commission, I wanted to say that I was going to get an addendum signed. You can't click note anymore. Yeah,
it needs to be done before you submit. Now, I will tell you, bro, so right now you have to communicate with your MCA, just like when you submit a green sheet if there's a change.
Okay.
Soon, though, they have labbed this. I've already seen it. There'll be a new button that once you submit it, there's a request recall button here. And instead of emailing the MCA, you can click that. They can release it to you. You can make that change and then resubmit. So you still need to contact your MCA right now, but I think that's going to get easier very soon in the future.
So is the MCA going to go and make sure that I uploaded an addendum signed by the broker to change the commission? Is that
there's a compliance trigger that happens when those things happen behind the scenes? Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes.
Since we're being paid out, will we get a notice that since everything is in compliance, is completed and approved, will there be some sort of notice that comes through to us when we know that the money's been transferred to our bank account?
That is not happening within Command right now, Tim.
Okay.
So there used to be a way in .loop where you could change the status and say paid, right? Not a way to do it now. Although what we are looking at is, and I think Brooke, you might have asked me this question. I missed it yesterday. There's a comment section within here. And the point of it is, so we're in the opportunity, right? If you click on here, there's a way that actually everyone, including your MCA, team leader, the agents on the deal can talk to each other. I'm working on training our leadership team on this feature right now to make sure they know it's available. So Tim, the goal might be is, if Nicole in our office were to pay you, she'd come in here and say, hey, Tim, in that case, I know it's my deal, right? So, hey, Kyle, or whoever the agent's going to be, just wanted to give you a heads up. The check has just been submitted, right? And you would get an alert on your side that there had been a chat coming from Nicole letting you know that. So we might use the chat instead of a tag because we don't really have that option.
Okay.
So Kyle, under the closed section, you've got listed under contract closed.
Yep.
Will the MCA, they'll upload the closing document, the CD, but will they still also be giving us a DA that breaks down everything?
Yes, correct. Same documents that you get right now in .loop, you'll be uploaded here in Command.
Okay.
And yes, a DA is still being created in Winmore behind the scenes. So yes, all that.
Okay, and so that will become part of this file.
Yes, so enclosed is where your office will upload that for you, man.
Okay.
All right, now here's the last curveball I'll throw at you. So let's say we did all of this. We did our compliance, we did our commission request, we turned everything in. I'm dealing with this right now. We had someone that went to walk through and they said, I'm not buying the house. I'm over it, forget it. Okay, right? So now that deal falls apart, whatever. Voids, releases are done, the whole shebang. What do I do? So I've got to now go back to my client Ann and tell her, hey, we got to go back on the market. Who knows, right? Because I would know what we do in this situation. How do we kind of reverse some of this compliance stuff so we can resubmit a second offer potentially?
You have to delete stuff.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
Sure. Well, you don't really delete stuff. Here's the way I want you to think of this in your head. Is my listing agency paperwork still good with Ann?
Yes.
So I'm not creating a new opportunity.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same opportunity that's been approved. The under contract folder that I turned in, this is what's changed, right? So here's what you do. You notice right up top here where it says the word under contract with a down arrow. And if you click that, you can create a new version of this compliance checklist. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to delete the documents because we need to store them because we need to keep copies of them, right? For compliance purposes. So what I can do here is we release that contract, whatever it's going to be. I can come in and say add version. And this is going to be contract number 2, right? Or you can call it whatever you want it to be. I'll call it contract number 2. I'll hit create new version and notice that my under contract section is now blank again. And I have the ability to upload contract number 2 and resubmit back to the market center and pick up where I left off.
It's good.
But you can talk back and forth if you needed to.
Exactly. And so what you can do, as Margie said, is I can always go back. So if that client said, hey, can we go back and look at that original contract from last time? You can always click the drop down, go back to the original version and download all of your documents compared to that checklist, right? So you're just creating a new version that you're now going to submit with contract number 2.
Hey, Kyle, is there a way, if you write a, obviously in these times, we're writing multiple contracts for buyers because they're not getting accepted. Is there a way that if I write a contract today, and is there a way if I go to write another contract that we can copy the information from contract number 1 to number 2 so that?
So in DocuSign, right, you, and this is the deal. Remember, you're only going to, and I know this isn't your question. I'll get to your question. You're only uploading here once you ratify. So you guys might be writing 6 offers and that all is going to happen in DocuSign.
Correct.
Right? Boom, you finally ratified. That's when you're uploading here. Now, to your point, Tim, in DocuSign, if you take that class, we have a purchase agreement, a sales contract. We fill out with an address. We write that offer, we lose. What happens is when that is signed the first time, you get a signed copy of that offer and the original version stays the way it is. So you can click on that original version. It has everything in there and just go in and change the address, maybe some of the terms, send again. So you don't have to start from scratch every single time. You can open that original contract, edit, and send again for signatures.
Okay, that's helpful.
Perfect. Okay, so then guys, obviously I would repeat that process. I would go in there. And then the last thing here is in the offer section, what I can do is change response, right? So I'm in the offer section here. I can hit change response, yes, and it'll delete out that commission information that I'd inserted in based on that offer. I could go ahead and add a new offer, submit my commission again. Okay, so that's how you kind of regroup if you lose that first offer potentially. That's it. Okay. So documents in the middle there. I think you guys all get it. That's what I like to hammer home. What we're seeing a little bit on the compliance side is just people are doing it correctly. They're uploading their listing agreement and turning it in. Then when they come in to put in the purchase contract, they're like going down below in the listed folder and adding that information and hitting resubmit, right? Just realize there's a folder for the purchase contract, right? So agency contract.
Wow.
Here's the deal. So I'm teaching DocuSign again tomorrow at 11, and I'm teaching this class again on Thursday at 11 o'clock on Thursday. So today is the only afternoon class. So you got another shot, right? Go give this a try today. I keep telling people, just go give it a try. Jump back on the class again on Thursday. Listen to it again if you need to. If you try it in between now and then and come up with some questions, great time to ask those. Everyone else can learn from those, and then we'll move forward. All right. Anything else that I missed here? Final thoughts?
So Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks,
You're
Kyle.
welcome.
Thanks, Kyle.
I go practice.
Sounds good. Go practice. Talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
see ya. Bye-bye.
Very patient.